Hey everybody, Adam Rake here, and in this edition of Fantasy 101, we are going to be talking about your fantasy football draft, the greatest time of the fantasy football calendar outside of when you're, of course, winning a championship. But this is the time when you get together with all of your friends, either in person, if you're online, it doesn't matter. You sit there, you select your team, you have a great time, you make fun of each other's picks. Trust me, you are going to love the fantasy football draft. Now, one question you might have is when? When do you have your fantasy football draft? We suggest having it as close as possible to the kickoff of the NFL season, maybe that weekend right before they get ready to kick it off on Thursday night. That is an excellent time to have your fantasy football draft. At that point, if there are any position battles, if you're trying to figure out who's going to be the starting running back for a team, hopefully all that stuff will be settled right there in that final weekend leading up to the kickoff of the NFL season. That way you have all the information possible. You also have the most up-to-date injury information. If a guy is going to miss a couple of weeks, if a guy is going to miss the season, any of this stuff is going to be crucial for your fantasy draft. So you want to make sure you have as much information as possible. That is why we suggest doing it so late. I don't know, you can't wait, you want to do it. I'm telling you right now, hold it as close to the regular season as possible and you won't be disappointed. It is going to be so much fun anyways, whenever you do it, but you just need to wait. You gotta be patient.
With the first pick.
What about the draft order? There's a number of different ways you can do this. Of course, the NFL Fantasy app will just pick it for you. They'll pick it at random and all of your friends will suggest that the computer is cheating or whatever. I can guarantee you the NFL app is not out to get you, but they can put it out there in random order. Or you can have a little fun with this. Fantasy football is a competition, so why not bring competition into your draft order? You can have a Madden tournament, you can do go-kart racing, you can play punt, pass, or kick, maybe go golfing, have a long drive contest closest to the pit, whatever. Just find a game and make that your draft order. Or, here's a crazy idea, you could do it like the NFL does it, where the team with the worst record the previous season gets the top pick. And I know it's going to be tough if it's one of your frenemies, and all of a sudden, he or she has the top pick in the draft, even though they weren't good last season. That's going to be disappointing, but that's the way the NFL does it. It is an easy option for you. It also avoids any squabbling, people getting upset, people thinking that the randomized order wasn't so random at all. You could do it that way as well. I still suggest find a competition because believe me, that'll be the most enjoyable. Now here's another question. How do you pick your players? Well, this is very similar to the NFL draft. You have a draft order, you have a slot, you're picking first, you're picking second, you're picking 12th, whatever the order is. But unlike the NFL draft, where the first team that is picking in the round picks first in every round, in fantasy football, to kind of make this a little bit more fair, is that you have what we call a snake draft. So let's say you're in a 12-team league and you have pick 12. Well, in the second round, you will have the first pick and then it'll go back down. And in the third round, you will go back to having the 12th pick. But in the fourth round, you'll have the first pick. Now, there is a lot of debate about which spot is the best one to be in. And of course, as you continue to play fantasy football, you'll figure out where you like drafting. Personally, I don't mind being on the turn. I think that you can get some good value, but I do know that you have to wait a long time for those players to get back to you, and you watch some of your favorite players getting picked up right when they're getting close to you. So I understand the frustration either way, but that is the fairest way to do this because I understand we're rewarding the person who gets the first pick. They can't get all the rewards, so that is why they do a snake draft in most fantasy leagues. Oh, and it's also important to note that there are usually time limits for every pick because you don't want to be sitting there for hours on end while your friend is trying to pick between which running back or receiver they want to select. That's why most leagues usually put about a 60-second time limit. Sometimes it can be as much as 90 seconds as well, but that way it keeps the draft moving. And as much fun as the draft is, you don't want it to be a 3-day marathon, or maybe you do, but usually each pick has a time limit. Now, who do you draft? There are a lot of different ways you can set up your rosters in fantasy football leagues, but the standard NFL fantasy app teams will have one quarterback, two running backs, two receivers, a tight end, a flex spot, a kicker, and a defense. And when you're drafting, you can pick any player from any of these positions. It doesn't matter. There's no set rule of what you need to do. Now you will hear some debates whether it's wise to draft a quarterback first or a running back or a receiver. But the basic teams, quarterback, two receivers, two running backs, tight end, flex, either a running back or a receiver, kicker, and a defense. and you just also need to fill out some bench spots. Typically, most NFL fantasy leagues have 5 bench spots, and again, these can be of any of those positions. You could have 5 backup running backs, you could have 5 backup wide receivers. Those decisions will be left up to you, but you do need to fill out a starting lineup. That is how you get fantasy points. Also, and I don't want to sit here and overload you with information, but one thing you also might want to keep an eye on is that when you are drafting, you'll notice that each player will have a little number next to them. That is their bye week. So if you're drafting a backup quarterback, and let's say your backup quarterback has a bye in week 8, make sure the backup that you're selecting does not have a bye week the same week. Otherwise, you still will need to go out and get a quarterback. And that's how we do the draft. I know that me sitting here talking about it did not do justice for how great the fantasy football draft is, but trust me, you're going to love it. And thank you so much for watching this Fantasy 101 video. Make sure you watch the previous video. Now you can go in and watch this video. We would appreciate it. Make sure you have liked and subscribed to this NFL Fantasy channel. We appreciate you checking us out. And if you could, download the all-new NFL Fantasy app. Not only can you have your draft right there on the app, you're going to be able to watch NFL games this season right from your app. It's so amazing. All right, good luck, everybody. We'll see you later. Bye.